Depending on your age, your earliest memories of using a computer probably vary. Some of you might remember using the Apple IIc or watching Flash animations, but I am sure that, for some of you watching this, your earliest memories are of this little guy.
Hello there!
It was in 1999 when the internet became home to this new computer program, BonziBuddy. Innocent looking enough, but what you probably didn't know was that this cute virtual assistant was at one point responsible for more than $1 billion in punitive damages. But how? Just like many pieces of malware and internet spyware, the software was designed to attract many people with its seemingly useful features, with all its malevolent doings hidden within. It was a facade of user convenience, designed to assist users during a time where mass use and understanding of the internet was quite new. But in reality, the program was collecting user data for advertising purposes, as well as contaminating Windows with irritating features and misleading system information. BonziBuddy was a wolf in sheep's clothing, or purple gorilla clothing. But how was such a strange program able to get away with all this? What is the story that gave BonziBuddy the legacy that it has today? The events of this entire tale date all the way back to the mid-1990s, particularly during the prominence of Windows 95. Microsoft had gained tremendous success with its new operating system, marketing the product in a way that could appeal to the masses. Computers were no longer part of some niche community or only for businesses. Now your grandmother could use a computer. Microsoft made the bold move of making their target audience everyone. But now, it was time for them to make using the computer even easier, and they needed to figure out how. The answer was within their ambitious release of Office 97. Their approach with this program was strongly influenced by a research project from Stanford University, conducted by Clifford Nass and Byron Reeves, theorizing that people subconsciously treat computers like human beings. Microsoft had to figure out a way to capitalize off this, and that is exactly what they did, with introducing Office Assistant. Clippy was the answer to all your problems. Whether you have heard about it in retrospect or experienced it yourself, obviously this didn't work. It seems that Microsoft took this research publication a little too literally. Clippy was universally hated and deemed way too distracting. It took a while for Microsoft to get the hint, and Clippy was ultimately removed from future Office versions in 2003, being mostly ignored during that stretch of time. Microsoft had been working on Assistant technology for quite some time before Office 97, with Microsoft Bob for Windows 3.1 and its Microsoft Agent characters such as PD the Parrot and Genie, sort of prototypes of Clippy. So what does this all have to do with BonziBuddy? Well, Microsoft may have failed with Office Assistant, but other companies thought the concept still had potential, and that they could do better. About a couple years prior to Windows 95 was the formation of Bonzi Software, created by brothers Joe and Jay Bonzi. Bonzi Software's existence was the perfect concoction of timing and pretty brilliant marketing. It popped up during a time where people didn't really understand the internet or know what direction it was going in. Because of this, Bonzi Software didn't really need a whole lot of ingenuity to become somewhat successful. What helped them take off was their voice email application. Rather than sending text over email, you could send a voice recording of yourself. This might not seem very practical considering that you could just call somebody on the phone using the exact same phone line you used to get online, but it didn't matter. It was a thing on the internet, and that was cool. This allowed them to create some other programs that would enhance your internet speed as well as protect your PC from potential security breaches. These programs didn't really do anything other than create a firewall and just change basic system configurations. But this didn't stop Bonzi Software from continuing to grow and establishing a name for itself. By the time Clippy was casually sitting on most Windows desktops, Bonzi Software had released the program all of you have been waiting for, BonziBuddy. It used technology very similar to Microsoft Agent, and even used one of its characters, PD, the talking green parrot. This version of BonziBuddy would not last very long though, and a character change would quickly take place. Whether it was due to copyright infringement from Microsoft's end or simply a desire to be more original, we just aren't exactly sure. All we know is that the brand new Bonzi Buddy would introduce Bonsai Software's very own character, a talking purple gorilla. Most of the other parts of the program would remain unchanged, using Microsoft's speech engine and a similar user interface. But what exactly did the program do? Well, as a virtual desktop assistant, its main features would be designed exclusively for the user's convenience. This would include keeping track of and reminding you of your calendar events, basically a virtual secretary, reading your emails out loud to you, telling jokes or fun facts, using a built-in search tool that allowed you to use the program to search for things on the web, and a custom text-to-speech tool, where the program would say whatever you typed in. Some features might have seemed rather pointless or just overcomplicated, but the big selling point was that it was free. Well, not exactly a selling point since users didn't pay for anything, but there were premium versions of the program users could purchase to get even more out of its features. Anyway, Bonzi Buddy was getting numerous downloads from a huge range of demographics. All kinds of people were using it. But over time, things started to get a little weird. Since Bonzi Buddy was going to be your virtual friend, of course it was going to have to get to know you. This would create a warm introduction to the program for the user and allow it to optimize your PC. It would ask for your name, your age, your address? Yeah, it seems a bit obvious now, but it took a while for most users at the time to realize that Bonzi Buddy was essentially just spyware. In actuality, the program was using a backdoor Trojan horse to take this information and put it on the Bonzi software database without the user's consent. This would allow them to use this information to install certain pop-up ads on your computer, again without consent. The real kicker for this was that these weren't just your typical annoying ads. Bonzi software did something that, while a bit obvious and fake-looking now, was at the time quite new and unsettling. These were ads that would appear as critical Windows errors, telling you that your computer was at risk unless you install Bonzi programs. Bonzi Buddy would also repeatedly change your homepage to the Bonzi website, as well as your default built-in search engine, again without asking you. So not only was Bonzi Buddy internet spyware, but it was also malware and adware, just about every bad name in the book. With this news coming out, people were becoming more apprehensive about what kind of things they were downloading from the web, and were now on the lookout for the Bonzi Buddy virus. Though depending on who you talk to, calling Bonzi Buddy a virus is about as misleading as the actual program is. In order for software to fall under the definition of a computer virus, it has to be capable of replicating itself in a harmful way that can allow it to spread across multiple systems, and since Bonzi Buddy doesn't replicate itself, it would not fit this term. But not everyone agrees with this. By installing a backdoor, Bonzi Buddy allows other malicious programs, such as viruses, to get into your system. Because it was equally destructive in the long term, people just might as well call it a virus, as its behavior is indistinguishable to most computer users, who will just think that any program that is bad is a virus. At the end of the day, this is purely an argument of semantics, and doesn't take away from the amount of damage that Bonzi Buddy actually caused. It was a lot. In 2002, Bonzi Software faced its very first class action lawsuit for the misleading pop-up ads, where they were ordered to give $500 to each user that encountered one, and another $5 for each ad impression. Adding all of this up, Bonzi Software owed billions of dollars in reparations. Considering that was more money than the entire Microsoft antitrust lawsuit, this amount didn't seem very realistic for a third-party internet company. Consequently, Bonzi Software settled for $175,000. Things were becoming a bit limited for Bonzi Software. Finances were tight, and the company was essentially walking on eggshells, removing the misleading pop-up ad designs and laying low to litigious eyes. But the final nail in the coffin would be in 2004, where the company would face another lawsuit. Bonzi Buddy's spying tendencies didn't stop, and the once cool feature of collecting a user's age would be the kiss of death for the company. Because many users were well under the age of 13, BonziBuddy's practices violated COPPA, collecting the information of children without parent or guardian permission. When Bonzi Software was forced to pay $75,000 in damages, it was clear that this was the end. Bonzi Software's 11-year journey concluded that same year, and the company had gone under, and Joe and Jay Bonzi went off to go form other companies. So, as you would expect, the death of Bonzi Software led to the death of BonziBuddy. It would quickly lose full support for future Windows versions, and despite it being available for download for another 4 years after the company's dissolution, would quickly be forgotten. Though as time progressed, so did nostalgia and inquiry. The program had a sort of resurrection in 2014, when it was repopularized in a YouTube video by Joel from the Vinesauce channel, a video which focused on destroying Windows XP with malicious programs. It didn't take long for the program to become an internet phenomenon, the butt of many online jokes. BonziBuddy seemed to serve as a testament for how quickly things age on the internet. Just 10 years prior, people were unironically using this program, which now just looked completely ridiculous and obviously suspect. Ah yes, BonziBuddy. I remember that. Fortunately, because Bonzi Software no longer exists, BonziBuddy can no longer collect user information, making it essentially benign. It is now available to download from multiple third-party websites, allowing it to truthfully serve as the computer assistant that it was superficially advertised to be. No more danger, right? Well, let's find out. We could talk about BonziBuddy all day, but I think it would be more interesting to actually put it to the test. With Bonzi Software now being a defunct company, I don't suspect that BonziBuddy is actually going to be capable of doing much harm. But I would like to show you just some of the minimal functionalities that it still has, the ones that were primarily advertised for the program. The program is already downloaded to my computer, so I will save you all the trouble of installing it. Everything is looking good on my end, so let's give it an open, shall we?
Well, hello there.
Hello.
I don't believe we've been properly introduced. I'm Bonzi. What is your name?
This is where we register our information. Get to know BonziBuddy. I will promptly fill that out.
Nice to meet you, Brian.
Here is some additional registration stuff that I will go ahead and fill out. Okay, now let's take a look at our options. As you can see, even now, there's quite a variety of things you can still do with the assistant. Probably nothing particularly helpful nowadays, but they still work, for the most part. What shall we try first? Let's have him tell a joke.
Not a problem. What did the digital clock say to the grandfather clock? Look, no head.
Beautiful. That is totally my kind of stupid humor. Let's do another one.
Not a problem. Which is the saddest tree? A weeping willow.
These are actually good. Or maybe the bar for comedy is just really low for me. I don't know. Go ahead and tell a fun fact.
Here's something for you, Brian. Did you know that the Earth moves around the Sun at 66,641 miles per hour?
Huh.
Who knew?
A thing like that. Let's go ahead and play some games. Okay, it works.
Let the games begin.
This one actually ages pretty well. Games like these don't really get old. Sadly, I can actually find myself playing these for hours, so we should probably cut it short before things get out of hand. Oh, okay. Not sure what I did, but that's cool.
Okay, Ryan, where do you want to go?
As you can see, some features simply just don't work anymore, and others, like the calendar
Welcome to
feature,
my
have just come to
calendar.
show their age, seeing that you can just use the reminder feature built into Windows 10 and ones on other
I can
popular
help
operating
keep you
systems.
on schedule.
From the
I
things that
can
I've just
track
shown
all
you,
of
it
your
seems that
appointments.
BonziBuddy is quite harmless and might be a bit hard to imagine as being malicious software. But as we discussed, this is because most of its harmful practices were subtle. It would install a backdoor Trojan to your computer, making it more vulnerable for other programs to get in. Basically, your computer has a garage door with a lock on it, and BonziBuddy picks that lock. It would enable Bonzi software to add its pop-up ads to your computer. Based on their appearance, typical users might think these are genuine Windows errors, and would end up installing Bonzi software deceptively, likely without giving any second thought. And of course, anything that you put into the registration form would go straight to Bonzi software servers, where they could basically do anything they wanted to with it. Of course, as I've already mentioned, Bonzi software doesn't exist anymore, so these programs are more than likely no longer doing these things. So, final verdict, BonziBuddy now is basically just an outdated virtual assistant software, and is mostly fine by today's standards. But regardless, any modern capable antivirus software will immediately block you from downloading it. So with that said, you should still absolutely be mindful about downloading this program if you are considering doing so. Please download it at your own risk.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you never miss a future video. Check out my Patreon to get access to exclusive content and to watch videos early. Goodbye.